We are back at the Global AI Student Conference for our next session, Introduction to Name Entity Recognition using Azure Language Services. Let's meet our next speaker, Konstantinos Kyriakos Sitistas, a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador from Greece. Hi, Konstantinos.
Hello. Can you hear me first of all?
Yes.
Super. So, hi Fotini and Loxley. Hi everyone. I'm really glad to be with you today here.
We're very excited to have you with us today. So you may share your screen and we can get started.
Okay, super. Just give me a moment to share my screen.
We can see your screen.
Perfect. So, hi everyone. My name is Konstantinos Sitistas, and I'm a beta Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. Today, I'm going to present you some introductory concepts around the area of named entity recognition and in general about natural language processing. And I will show you how to build your own model using Azure Language. Okay, so just a few words about myself. It won't take that much time. I'm in the final year of my studies in the Electrical and Computer Engineering department of the University of Patras in Greece. I'm a student ambassador, Microsoft Learn student ambassador for almost 2 years, and I'm currently working on my thesis, which is related to natural language processing, which is one of the most exciting topics that I have got involved these years. Currently, I'm also working as a software engineer at an IoT-related company here in Patras. I suppose that most of you have heard some way about NLP, but for those of you that are unfamiliar, we could say that natural language processing is a branch of computer science that is about giving computers the ability to understand written text, but also spoken text and spoken words like us humans. Today we're going to focus on written text, but similar techniques can be applied to speech as well. In this slide, you can take a look at the most common tasks of natural language processing, which are text and speech processing, morphological analysis, syntactic analysis, semantics, and synthesis. So the named entity recognition that we're going to focus on today is part of the semantics. And I hope that you will like it. The session is pretty much introductory, so you will not need the prior knowledge to go on. Before we move on, we need to define what an entity is. So, an entity is a span of text that indicates a certain type of information. The text span can consist of one or more words, so it's not limited to a single word, as you can see in this slide. It could be 2, 3, or 4 or many words. And these entities represent the information that the user wants to extract from the text. So what are we doing? Developers tag entities within their data before they pass it to the model for training. For example, they can use entities such as date, or start date, birthplace, or first name, or it could be an organization. So, what does named entity recognition? So, NER allows us to extract the categories of information using artificial intelligence models. So for this task, we can either use a pre-trained model which an organization or someone else has trained, or you can build your own model to meet your project needs. So with custom named entity recognition, you can build custom machine learning models to perform the data extraction. I also need to mention that it applies to unstructured text, so you don't need to worry about the exact format of the text that you want to use for your projects. And in this image, you can see the steps that are usually involved during a project lifecycle. First of all, we need to select our data and define our schema, which means to identify what entities we want to extract data from. Do we want names? Do we want cities? Do we want prices? It would be whatever. After that, we need to label the data. And we need to be very careful at this part, because if we don't pay attention and we insert incorrect labels or just mess up with the labels, this is going to affect the performance of our model. So mistakes in labeling can lead to a subpar model that is not going to cover our needs, let's say. And probably we will need to improve it later. So after we finish labeling, it's time to train our model, view the performance, and if needed, if the performance is not, let's say, satisfactory for us, we can improve it and go back to labeling again or add more data. After we achieve a satisfactory result for our case, we can deploy the model and use it in our scenarios. So, what about the accuracy of these models? Because someone may think, okay, how can I trust a model like that? I need to tell you that in recent years, the newest models achieve almost near human performance, sometimes even better than human performance. And to calculate the score of the model, we're usually using the F1 score, which is a metric that combines the precision and the accuracy of the AI models. So let's talk about the accuracy requirements. Of course, according to the application, these requirements are varying. These are not fixed. One example that I found in my research was the guidelines from the Canadian um, NER evaluation guidelines, which are for closed captioning, which indicate that a satisfactory score for NER model for closed captioning is at least 98% accurate for English and at least 85% accurate for French. You understand that there is a difference in these numbers because, of course, in English there is so much more data than in French language. But in general, named entity recognition is like supported for a lot of languages, and it's still under, let's say, development. However, as I've already said a lot of times, with great power comes great responsibility. And we need to take into consideration that we should avoid, let's say, using named entity recognition for decisions that might have serious implications. For instance, we should avoid scenarios where a health diagnosis is based on extracting information from an individual's medical form, or charging someone's bank account because we extracted some values from a text. Okay, so we should also avoid creating entities that extract unnecessary or sensitive information. So, for example, if we have a scenario that we need to extract the country and the city of a user, we should select only this data and not the entire address of that person. And of course, we should also follow the other general responsible guidelines for AI, such as inclusiveness, transparency, and human accountability. Okay, so time for action. Now it's time to create your own model, and I will show you how to do that easily. For that part, we're going to use the Azure Cognitive Service for language. So custom named entity recognition is part of these services. And of course, there are a bunch of other services such as language detection, sentiment analysis, text classification, and a lot more that you could try to get started with this amazing piece of technology. So let's use language service to create our model. First of all, we need to have an Azure subscription. You can get one for free. And if we go to the Azure portal, we can go to cognitive services to create a new resource. We go to language service, create one. Okay, so that part we need to select custom text classification and custom name entity recognition. And we create our resource. We select our subscription, a resource group, or we can create a new one. I can select my region, which is close to me, and I choose a name. For example, it could be intro to NER, something like that. Okay. There are two options here: free and standard. You can also choose free. I select a storage account, an existing or a new one, and we create the resource. Okay, so the validation has passed. It's time to create a resource. And because we need to save some time here, I have already done this before, so I will not wait to for the resource to be created. What we need to do at this part is to go to the storage account that was created or that we selected before with our when we created our resource. Go to containers and create a new container. I have already created one. I go here, and at this part, we need to upload our data. So we need to upload TXT files and JSON files, and what we need to do with this. So the TXT files, as I'm going to show you, are just plain text files. For example, these are sample loan agreement texts that you can also view on the GitHub page of Microsoft. So this dataset is online and you can use it to test your model. You can go here, you can upload, let's say, a number of files, and the JSON file contains some, let's say, information about the entities, because these are, let's say, already done to create our model, and we don't need to deal with this. So, okay, the deployment was succeeded, and it's time to move on to Language Studio. You need to go to language.cognitive.azure.com, and from here you can create a new project or select your last project, let's say. You can create a new project from here and you select, for example, custom named entity recognition, or you go to the extract information tab and you select custom named entity recognition. So let's go and create a new one, create a new project. We select the storage account, the resource that we created earlier, click on next. We type a name, and we select the language, the primary language of our text. You can also select this checkbox if you want to include documents that are many languages that are not in English, for example, and you can also add a description. You choose next. Okay, you choose the container that you also created before, and because in this scenario the documents are already labeled, and we have a JSON file to let's say describe these entities. We just choose this file and we hit next, and then we create a project. So I have already created a project to show you the result of this. So, okay, you can see that we have a number of text files here. We could go, for example, and check these. So this one is date, this is the name of the borrower, the address of the borrower, etc., etc. So this data is already prepared to train our model. Let's train our model now. We go to training jobs, start a training job. We train a new model. Let's say it would call model intro to NER. And it can also automatically split the testing from the training data to use, let's say, a large percentage to create a model, and a smaller data set to test and perform changes to improve the model. So we hit train, and okay, this is going to take some time, so I'm just going to show you the result. I will go to my already created project, and we can see the performance of the model. So as you can see, the F1 score is about 95%, which is pretty good because we just added, let's say, 16 documents, as you can see that, 16 training documents, which is not a lot of data, and we used just 4 documents to test our model. So as you can see, this was just plain text, and we have a very high score for our model. So here you can also use a confusion matrix to improve your model and see where are errors and where are matches. And yes, here you can see the results which failed. For example, here the label text was off and it was predicted as borrower address, so this was a mistake. But in general, we can test it with other, let's say, loan agreement text, and it will be the probability of being correct is really, really high. Okay, so this is it. You can also use your own text to test your model and see if it can adjust to your needs, or if you cannot do so, you will need to go back and train your model and add more files, improve your labels, and repeat the same step. So you can search for the resources to learn more. There is a learning path on Microsoft Learn about natural language processing in general, and about today's exercise, you can go to Microsoft Learn documentation and study more about the custom name entity recognition. And yeah, feel free to do your research and play with it. It's really, really fun. Now it's time to discover it yourself. So if you want to follow me for more and see me in future natural language processing workshops, feel free to follow me. So that's it.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. And now we have a couple of questions to ask you because we have like 10 minutes left for your session. So our first question is, can you explain more about the types of the entities?
Um, when we're talking about already trained models that you haven't prepared yourself, not custom NER, just plain NER, um, there are some, let's say, ready groups of entities. It could be date, it could be first name, last name, address. It's like filling a form. You can see the most usual information that you want to get from a text document. Uh, of course, in custom name entity recognition, you can add your own. It could be whatever. I recently read an article, paper, I'm sorry, about custom named entity recognition in cybersecurity. So this could apply to a very, very large part of our, let's say, um, jobs that we want to extract information. And it is pretty efficient.
So thank you. In this presentation, you use the Custom Name Entity Recognition service. Have you ever used some of the other services of the Language Studio?
Yes, I have used okay, of course, I used the named entity recognition first, which was, for mine, it was pretty satisfying. There are also like uh, conversational models, and you can also build your own AI bot or do whatever you want with these services. So it's not limited to just plain text. You can combine it with other Azure services or external services, or use an SDK um, to combine it with your own application. So it's not limited to that um, user interface that I showed you. So yeah, you have so many capabilities with it.
And our next question is that in your demo you use a dataset with TXT files. What if
Exactly.
I what if my data is in a PDF format? Can I still use this service or I have to use the custom name entity recognition service along with other Azure services?
Um, I think that in order to extract information from PDF files, you need to combine it with other services, but I need to search for it. I'm not entirely sure. But of course, you have um, the option to do so. It is not something, like say, that you don't have the ability to do.
Yes, thank you. And so one last thing is that we saw the card with the evaluation results of your custom models that you built. This result is same like in other services that we find the Language Studio and the Azure Custom Vision service. Can we take like more evaluation results about our model, or we should use only the evaluation results that are presented in this site? Can we generate our own metrics?
Yes, I think that you have the ability to generate your own metrics. Of course, this is something simple because if you want to get started, you don't want a bunch of numbers to show up in percentages that may confuse you. Um, but these are in general really accepted metrics. The F1 metrics is widely used because it is used in a lot of artificial intelligence applications. Also, I have used it before in custom vision, as you said before. So it's like a generic metric that all, let's say, researchers and the students will can use to test their model and improve their data sets and models.
Fabulous. I think I have a couple other questions. And like with your experience with natural language processing, what has been like the favorite things that you've learned with the technology or your favorite projects you've done?
That's a pretty tough question. I enjoyed a lot uh, Custom NER because I think this is my favorite, to be honest, because it's something that can save you so much time. Um, for example, there are many jobs that you need to go to manually seek through a bunch of documents, for example, 100 of documents, and this will take so many hours to do for one person. At the same time, you can just train your model in 10 or 15 minutes or 30 minutes, it doesn't matter, and use it to save time and do something more productive in your working time. So I think this is pretty amazing.
That's awesome. And even I know one more question is for our students listening in on the chat today, what would you recommend as being like a very first project or learning module to learn more about natural language processing?
Um, yeah, I also showed it in my presentation. It was if you go back, you can see that it's a learning path from Microsoft Learn that you can read, and also you can use resources to get your hands dirty. It's about basic knowledge on natural language processing, how you can extract information, as we said, how you can use translate service to translate some text or detect a language or build a conversational model using Azure language. So I think that the Microsoft Learn path is like the best resource to start with.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Konstantinos, for coming on today to give your presentation and also to answer all of our questions.
Thank you as well. It was a pleasure for me. And yeah, I hope that this will continue in the next years because the organization is amazing.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you back at another Global AI Student Conference to talk about all of the work that you will continue to do in the field.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you. I think we're almost ready to dive into our next presentation about the hybrid model approach for real-time acoustic anomaly detection using time series, but we have a little bit of time before then to talk about our two promotions we're doing during the Global AI Student Conference. The first is our Cloud Skills Challenge. So you can participate in our Cloud Skills Challenge by going to the link aka.ms/learn-challenge, and you can join a leaderboard where students from all over the world are participating, and you can complete some modules that are specifically handpicked to learn more about AI. And our second thing is you can earn your very own learning badger at aka.ms/GAI-badger. And this looks just a super cute little tool. I have a couple AI ambassador badges myself, and over 13,000 of these badges have been given out globally across the world. So a super fun way to show that you're learning these AI skills. And I think we'll go to a quick break before starting our next presentation.